火锅、烤鱼、小龙虾，一口入魂的麻辣滋味总是让人难以自拔。其实人的舌头所能尝出的基本味只有酸、甜、苦、咸、鲜。麻辣中的辣实际是由辣椒素产生的一种灼痛感，而麻辣中的麻则是一种触觉，准确来说是一种频率为50赫兹的震颤。当辣在你的舌尖燃起一把熊熊烈火，麻就在一旁让你感到麻痹镇静。就是这样一种有如阴阳调和一般的巧妙搭配，让你对麻辣味的食物无法抗拒。都说咖啡和酒水是门好生意，那麻辣食品带来的奇妙体验岂不同样让人上瘾？在一次聚会上，我们的主人公赵耀品尝了一位英国朋友用青花椒油调味的奶酪意面。他意识到，原来自己老家重庆的花椒油不只可以用来拌黄瓜、做中餐，还拥有着走上世界人民餐桌的潜力。于是赵耀离开了自己在世界银行作为能源专家的全职工作，用自己的积蓄在美国创建了一个专卖花椒油的食品品牌。美国人也的确对花椒带来的这种新奇的自虐性口感来者不拒，他们常常给赵耀写信，告诉他披萨、爆米花还有冰激凌都可以和花椒油很配。这给了赵耀很大的正反馈，他也自豪地认为他做的不是调味品供应商，他创办的是一家感官公司。This is Dedicated, a show where people share about what they are dedicated to. It could be a career or a hobby. They will tell you why they are so into it, or how they become so good at it. I'm your host Lulu, and making these conversations happen is what I am dedicated to. You can also tell me what you are dedicated to. We never get tired of foods that give us a funny feeling, like mustard that sends a shockwave through our skull, like carbonated drinks containing a playful fizz in every sip. It's not necessarily the flavor that sets us on fire, it's the sensation that does the magic. For those in the food industry, creating a sparkling sensory experience would be key to crafting a killer product. This is precisely what inspired Yao to start 50 Hertz, a brand that features the unique taste of Sichuan pepper. Don't mistake it for the fiery red chili pepper you typically see in a Sichuan dish. It's the small and round berry that hides in the plate. What's special about this spice? How well has it been received in the US market? How can it make mealtime exciting? Yeah, thank you for sending me the sample. It's such a tasty gift.
I'm glad you liked it.
So I'm talking to Yao. He's the founder of 50 Hertz, which specializes in a product you probably won't see elsewhere on the US market. And it also inspired by his hometown. So I will let him to talk about it.
Thanks, Kexing, for this opportunity to talk to your audience about this unique spice and this new sensation that I'm trying to introduce to more Americans. I founded the company 50 Hertz, Tingly Foods, to introduce this unique spice, Sichuan Pepper, Huajiao, from my hometown Chongqing and Sichuan. I want to add this tingling sensation to all kinds of food. That's the whole mission. That's what I'm dedicated to. I very lucky because I seems to find a good product market fit and find a small growing community. We're doing pretty well.
Awesome. Yeah, so how was it created?
So I founded the company in 2020. Prior to that, I was doing a lot of product development. I was sourcing and talking to different farmers and co-ops, trying to find the premium Sichuan pepper and Sichuan pepper oils. But I think all of this was founded because on two things. One, I was looking for a different and a new career. Just in general, I've been working for big international organizations like the United Nations and World Bank. Around the time of 2018, I was sort of tired of that career path, and I'm looking for something else to do. And I realized, I love building stuff. I love putting together resources and being an entrepreneur, basically. So I became very alert to new business ideas. So that's basically, that's the stage of my life. And the second thing is I went home to Chongqing for Chinese New Year. And my mom was making a cucumber salad, 拍黄瓜. So it's garlic and chili oil, and she finished it off with the green Sichuan pepper oil. And it was such a, citrus and aromatic and tingly flavor. It really was a visceral reminder of my upbringing and childhood. So when I came back to the US, I brought back a bottle of the green Sichuan pepper oil. And when I was hosting parties, my friends and family, they would add it to pasta and salad, and they were like, "Wow, this is amazing! Like, we've never tasted anything like this before. I think this could go beyond Chinese food." So that's basically the genesis of this business idea. It's just part of me at that stage of my life, looking for something different. And also I stumbled upon this business idea, and I took it and take it forward.
I see. So for listeners who might not know it well, Sichuan pepper is such a unique spice featuring a tingling and a numbing sensation. I feel it's like having some mild electrical currents in your mouth. And and there's also another way to put it. So it's like having a party in your mouth. So it's very, very unique and different.
Yeah. That's actually how we came up with our brand name, right? Why do we call ourselves 50 Hertz? And that's because it is the 50 Hertz frequency. That's the buzzing and tingling frequency on your tongue. And it's actually published. This result is published in a peer-reviewed science journal in London. And I actually went to London to meet the professor who wrote the paper.
Oh.
Yeah, it was very, very. He's like a mad scientist kind of, type. He has this gray hair, but all poking out from his head. It was wonderful meeting him. Yeah, and he loves what I'm doing. Yeah.
I see. So 50 hertz is the frequency of the vibration of your tongue when you eat Sichuan pepper, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I think it's also interesting if you look at it from a revolutionary standpoint. So I think the plants have this special compounds is meant to be unpleasant. So mammals will not eat the seed, and the seed will have a better chance to sprout and grow. But we humans decided we like that, and we love that, and we just can't get enough of that. So I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think in general, we human beings likes stimulation in our food and drinks. Another example, obviously, is chili peppers, right? It's that burning heat sensation. But actually, the chili peppers, they're not indigenous to China, right? As you know, it's a Colombian exchange product. It was originated in South America, and it was introduced to China only I think 400 years ago. And also, think about it, we like drinking sparkling water instead of tap water, right? We like feeling that carbonated and fizzling sensation. So I think this is a great new sensation. I think some part of the population would accept it, if not embrace it. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, sparkling water is my jam, and so is Sichuan pepper. Yeah. So your whole business revolves around Sichuan pepper, and you chose to go with Sichuan pepper oil. I'm just curious why you decided to make oil rather than hot sauce or other form of condiments.
That's a good question. We started with the green oil because I love it, and also I think it's an easy start, right? If I go out and start doing all kinds of product development and coming up with a new condiment, and obviously I think there are lao ganma or chili crisp like products. There are so many of those now in the US. To me, it's nothing new. It's sort of reinventing the wheel, and there are already 100 other companies doing this. So I want to start something completely new, and so that's why I started with the green oil, because it's easy, because I was able to find a good supplier, a very premium supplier who was willing to work with me. And helping me, bring the product into the US. So that's why I started with the green oil.
Yeah, and also to me, the oil feels a little bit softer than the actual pepper. So I think it's more friendly to people who are unsure how much they could eat. And yeah, you could still get the flavor of pepper, but without feeling too sharp if you're just using the oil.
I think that's one point. The other point is with the dried peppers, the educational cost is very high. You have to teach people how to use it. If they don't cook Chinese food, they almost never will use it. Obviously, you can teach it. We're doing that. But with the oil, it's much easier to use, and it keeps the flavor for a long time. With the dried peppers, you have to grind them and toast them in some kind of form of fat, either oil or butter. But with oil, it's basically a condiment, and you can drizzle on your pasta, on your pizza, or you can cook with it in Chinese, in stir fries. So it's an easier entry point than the dried peppers. And then actually after almost a year, we introduced our dried peppers.
I see. And how is the oil made? So I know you use rapeseed oil as a base oil. So is that oil infused with peppercorn?
Yeah. So Sichuan pepper, the red and green, they are harvested every year from late May to early September-ish. You harvest the fresh peppers. Actually, peppers is not really it's a misnomer. It's actually a citrus fruit. So you harvest the berries, the fruit, and then when they are fresh, you immediately infuse the peppers or the fruit in rapeseed oil. And we actually use a cold press method. So we use some kind of vibration to get the essence, the aroma, and the tingly compound out of the berries, and then they were infused into oil. So that's how it was made.
I see. So Sichuan pepper comes from the same family as orange, lemon, and grapefruit, right? Because you said it's from the citrus family. That's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of misnomers in the sort of the taxonomy of Sichuan pepper, or in general in spice. So, for example, in English we call it Sichuan pepper. Both Sichuan and pepper are two misnomers, because huajiao, I think we should call it actually huajiao, because it's actually it doesn't grow in Sichuan only. It grows in Chongqing and Gansu and Yunnan and Shanxi. So yeah, I don't really know why it's just called Sichuan pepper. Perhaps because Sichuan food is so popular, and it's so prevalent in Sichuan. But the spice itself, it doesn't really grow in Sichuan. It's a major place, but it's not the only place. And then I explained pepper, right? Pepper, it's not a pepper. It's a citrus fruit. And also a lot of times Americans call it Sichuan peppercorn. And that's even more wrong because it has nothing to do with peppercorns or like the black peppercorns we have eaten mostly in Western food, because it has nothing to do with peppercorns.
I see. So do you get this pepper from China, and is it easy to import that into the US? Because I know Sichuan pepper is banned by USDA for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's now the import is there's no problem of importing. But yeah, you're right. You're touching a very important an interesting episode of this sort of vilified spice. It was banned around 1968 because at the time the USDA thought actually the ban was not just on Sichuan pepper, it was on imported citrus fruit in general, because they thought the citrus fruit would bring a canker bacteria that would attack other citrus plants. So fast forward 40 years, in the early 2000s, the USDA did a study, and then they found out, actually there's no canker bacteria, but there are a lot of illegal import of citrus fruit into the US, but there's no canker bacteria. So it shouldn't be a problem. And then funny enough, the study showed the most imported citrus plant was Sichuan pepper illegally. So they basically lifted the ban, but they added a caveat. They said all the Sichuan pepper imported into the US would have to be heat treated to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And that would be, as you know, if you heat treat spice, that would kill the flavors and sensation. So before that, all of the Sichuan pepper you could get your hands on in the US was, sort of inferior in their quality. And now actually, the USDA has lifted everything, all the bans and the restrictions and caveats. But I think a lot of people or the big importers, they don't really know about that. So they still, heat treat their spice. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, especially when there's like more and more Chinese immigrants coming to the US, I guess those who migrated definitely miss this food. So there's a demand there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Sichuan food is really on a rise. Not surprisingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I heard you can also grow that in your backyard, right? I'm not sure whether people are doing this in the US.
They are. So we had a collaboration with the US National Botanic Garden in Washington. They reached out to me about a year ago. They said we're putting together an exhibition. The theme is agriculture, technology, and spice. And they want to feature Sichuan pepper as one of the spices. So our spice has been exhibiting at the U.S. National Botanic Garden in D.C. for almost a year now, and it's gonna go on for 2 years, which is great for promoting this spice. But as part of the program, they invited me and they organized an online webinar, like a lecture, to talk about the spice. So the audience are super well informed because they are, loyal Botanic Garden followers. So in the audience, in the chat, during the online lecture, quite a few of them saying, hey, we live in the Hudson Valley outside of New York, and we're growing Sichuan pepper outside of our house. And I also know people in Seattle area and also in California, that they grow Sichuan pepper trees, in their backyard.
I see. So Sichuan pepper is going global. Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, so you started your own line back in 2020. Yeah, I'm just wondering, how did you navigate branding, packaging, logistic, all of that?
Yeah, it was challenging, right? So I started the company in 2020, but the prep work before that was about a year and a half, I would say. I just put together myself, actually. A friend of mine is a graphic designer. He just did it pro bono for me, but it was basically my idea, but he basically put my idea together. And also, obviously, whenever he has a design, I would ask around different friends, trusted friends, hey, how do you think of this, label? But it's just, it's all just on me at the beginning. So it was challenging, but it was sort of a fun project, and I was doing it slowly, right? It took me a long time. It took me a year and a half to really put together the labels, the bottles, the co-packer, the supply chain. Yeah, it was a fun project.
And how did you get your early customers?
So I got very lucky, to be honest. So I opened the website. It's a Shopify website, in April 2020, basically right after the pandemic hit the US and everyone basically was working from home. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna, open the website and just start selling. One morning, about a month later, I woke up with like hundreds of messages on my phone, like Instagram. And I was like, wow, I never had this kind of experience. So it turned out, Fuchsia Dunlop, posted on her Instagram. She made a dandan noodle with the green Sichuan pepper oil, that I gave to her. And yeah, so that's how I got my first group of customers. And it's not surprising, right? Because her followers are, they know what they're getting into, and they would like this very premium and good quality and premium quality green Sichuan pepper oil to cook their food. So that's how I got it. But I actually, while I was happy, I knew I hadn't proven my business idea yet, because that's a very niche group of people, and it's sort of like a self-selected, biased group. So, about a month later, the New York Times wrote to me, asking me if they could write about it. And I said, yes, please do. And they ran the story on July the 2nd, 2020. And and it sort of, blew up. We sold 22,000 bottles overnight. And it really, that experience really catapulted the business to some level of maturity, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, and just so the listener know, so Fuchsia Dunlop is a very famous food writer who knows a lot about Sichuan cooking. Yeah, so it's such a great thing that she can help you spread the word.
Yeah, for the listeners who don't know, Fuchsia is perhaps the most famous food writer on China. Her writing is just spot on, on anything, on Chinese food, on Sichuan food in general. And no one has done more to popularize Sichuan food than she has done. So getting a shout out on Instagram from her was like, a footballer getting a shout out from, Messi, that type of. Yeah, she's wonderful. I didn't know her actually. I don't know her. And since then, we have exchanged emails and I actually met her for lunch in London a few months ago. She's just wonderful. She's really, really lovely person.
Awesome. Yeah, so before you send me the sample, I initially had this question. So, so your pepper oil gives people a sensation unlike anything they've experienced in their life. So I think that's a great selling point then, because people love trying new stuff. But what makes you confident that people will want a second bottle or more bottle, not just come and go? But now that I've tried the oil myself, I would say, yeah, you just can't get enough of it. But I still want to hear your thoughts on how you're gonna make this business sustainable. Like you said, how this business idea gonna work out.
So I think we have to go back to the data. And also depends on product category. I think in general, any spice, any spice has a very low velocity of consumption, right? Because if you open your cupboard in your kitchen, how many spice jars you have that you haven't touched for maybe more than a year, right? I think spice, this category is very difficult because, the velocity of using is very low. So even though our pepper oil gets rave reviews from different people, and we got a lot of repeat orders, but the frequency is not very high. That's just, there's no, and then also, it's a very niche thing still. So, but we do see a lot of repeat orders. But the point to make is, we launched our first snack product, our Tingly Sichuan Pepper peanuts. And we launched it in July, and I thought it would be enough for a whole year of inventory, and we sold out in 3 months. And people just keep coming back to buy more. So the repeat order was a really boost of confidence, for our business, and sort of like the proof of concept. I am a founder who does have a lot of imposter syndrome. I still think, my business idea is very niche. It is very niche. Despite some quote unquote success we have achieved, I still think, would people really like this? So yeah, but I think I trust my gut, and I think I trust my initial business sort of inspiration. And the data doesn't lie. Our repeat order rate is so high. Our repeat order rate is nearly 50%, which partially says, we're not doing enough of new customer recruitment. But we're not in a hurry, really, we want to do this organically and, grow it organically. So it's a great question, actually.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the peanut snack product because, my husband loves it. So when he tried it, he even went to the fridge and opened a bottle of beer for that. And he said that's the best compliment he would give to a snack. So yeah. I'm sure he will buy it again.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think this peanut thing is definitely a clever idea because I think flavored nuts are definitely a top snack selection in the US. So I think it's a great way to introduce a product to people. And also since the numbing feeling is so special, I think has a great chance to stand out among other flavored nuts product.
Yeah, I mean, snack category is very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to stand out. So, and our sensation is quite unique. So we hope that we can stand out.
I see. Yeah. Just wondering if you have any idea of the demographics of your customers. Are they most from the East Coast or everywhere in the US?
It's really everywhere. It really represents, how the US looks like.
again, like we actually have, I would say 60 East Coast, 40 West Coast, and also, in the middle of America as well. But our demographics is actually exactly what I wanted. Right now we have a very loyal customer following. But they tend to be the well-educated New York Times reader. And so they have, more disposable income. But my goal is actually, to really make this a new sensation, for everyone. So, for the mainstream Americans and also for the mainstream Westerners. So I'm not really targeting like immigrants, or Chinese market. But so thanks to our media features, and we were able to reach out to the mainstream American crowd. We actually have a really it's a small community, but it's growing.
Yeah, I just realized like the coverage you got from New York Times is very like crucial and a big thing for you, because I feel New York Times is a big player in the lifestyle space. So people who read New York Times care about what they eat and how they live. So yeah, I think they're also willing to try new stuff and trying good quality stuff.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I think our listener will love to learn recipes and guides from the founder himself. So could you tell us how you use Sichuan pepper to cook up the best meal possible?
I actually, funny enough, I don't really cook, despite the fact that I'm owning a food business. But I would say, the oil is super easy to use. If you cook Chinese, then you could use it as a stir fry. You could, obviously make, dandan noodle. You can just basically replace dried Sichuan peppers with the oil, with the caveat, that oil will make, it's an oil, right? So it's oily. So, if you want to, make soup or you actually want to cook the spice, then you probably need the dried spice. So also I think if, it really try to experiment with Western food. Our customers have been telling us they love it on a popcorn. They make a tingly popcorn, before they watch a movie. And how I discovered it was, making, pasta, right? I think this sensation works really well with carbs, with fat, with meat. And the green one works better with veggies. So yeah, we have actually a recipe page on our website, that's slowly growing. And we're actually collecting, recipes from our customers. So it's like a sort of a crowdsourcing exercise, for the recipes. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. And do the customers ever tell you how they use the product in their own kitchen? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, popcorn is one of those. That's actually inspired us to make more, snack products. And what else? They told us it's sort of, surprising. Oh, actually, one of the customers wrote to me. This was actually, a couple of years ago now. So basically she got COVID. And if you remember COVID, one of the symptoms, of COVID was actually losing sense of taste.
Right.
So she wrote to me, which really touched me. She said, I had a bout with COVID, and I lost all of my taste. And the only thing I could taste at the time was your oil, was of that sensation. So, she just want to thank me for, bring this to the market and, and help her, go through, the COVID period and, in the process of getting her sense of taste back. So it was a very touching email that I read.
I see. Yeah. Is there a bakery making biscuits with your pepper?
Yes. Yeah, good reminder. We are actually collaborating with a couple of very famous bakeries in Washington D.C. where I'm based. She's Vietnamese American. She made this beautiful cheddar cheese, green Sichuan pepper tingly biscuits. Really, really yummy. And also we're collaborating with a chocolatier to make numbing chocolate. Yeah, I think the application can be infinite if this sensation is proven to be liked by many people. So yeah, you can apply to anything.
Yeah, so although I'm not from Sichuan or Chongqing, I personally have had a lot of experience with this spice. So, in China, we have this classical tomato egg stir-fry dish, and each family has its own way to make it tasty. So some people will add sugar, others will add vinegar.
Yeah.
But in my family, we will fry Sichuan pepper in the oil to add a spicy cake there.
Yeah.
And then we will do the stir fry with the oil.
Oh, lovely. Actually, you reminded me, actually a lot of our customers put our green oil on their scrambled eggs. So it's similar to what you just described. Yeah.
Yeah, but the pepper can get burned easily if the oil is too hot. So so maybe your oil can save my efforts of doing that.
Because now you can just actually drizzle at the end, after you've done all the stir fries. Yeah.
Yeah, and also when we make dumpling fillings at home,
Nice.
We use Sichuan pepper infused water to enhance the flavor.
Oh,
and
wow.
that goes pretty well, especially with seafood fillings.
Yes. Yeah, actually, especially the green one. You should try the green one. The green one is sort of the new kid around the block. The green Sichuan pepper, 青花椒. It's even novel in China. It's, during my research, I realized the green Sichuan pepper was only popular in the past 20, 30 years, whereas the red one that's, iconic, to the dishes like mapo tofu, kung pao chicken, that the green one is being popular since, thousands of years. The red one has been popular for thousands of years, but the green one is only popular for the past 20 or 30 years. So yeah, that one is particularly, the green one, particularly good, for fish and seafood.
Yeah, another recipe I want to share is also for fish. And this is also how I use the oil you sent me. So yeah, I use it for steamed fish. So after the fish is cooked, there is one important last step. So you top the fish with ginger and green onion. And you pour some hot oil directly over the fish. And all of a sudden you get this aromatics and extra flavor release. So yeah, you also got that sizzling sound. So it's such a fun cooking with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, another thing I want to talk about is, so I think many Chinese restaurants in America, especially the early ones, they are very much tailored to the Western taste. And many people like to associate Chinese food with something heavy and greasy. Do you think like 50 Hertz or other emerging Chinese food brands or Chinese restaurants can break down this stereotype about Chinese food and make their way to fine dining probably in the future?
Yeah, I think so, right? I think there is such a huge wave of new Chinese food brand and Chinese restaurants in major US cities, right? If you go to Manhattan, you see those new Chinese restaurant, really nicely decorated and really nice ambience. And it really competes with Korean food and Japanese food. So, and on the brand side, there's so many Chinese food brand that's doing, chili oils and chili crisps. So yeah, I'm quite certain, this sort of misconcept about Chinese food will be torn down sooner or later. I have no doubt, and if I could play a part in that would be great. And also, I think introducing new ingredient to the Western palate is a way to do it, right? So if you think about in history how the Japanese did it, right? Because now everyone knows what umami is, right? So now a lot of people are doing mala, right? So I think it's bound to happen. It's just, what I'm doing is actually slightly different. I'm doing only only the numbing. So I'm not saying no to mala, but I think I'm not just doing Sichuan food or Chinese food. I'm just introducing a new flavor and sensation to the Western palate.
I see. So like you said, you're a sensation company, right?
Yeah, I'm a sensory company.
So one last question. What food or dishes or restaurant do you miss the most from Chongqing, the land you come from?
Oh, yeah, I think it has to be xiaomian, right? You probably would expect that, hot pot. Actually, I don't eat that, that spicy food, actually. I think that the things that I miss the most is definitely xiaomian. Xiaomian is like the literal translation is small noodle, Chongqing small noodle. It's just such grassroots food. We actually eat xiaomian for breakfast. Obviously you can eat it for any meal, but breakfast it's a scene in China, in Chongqing. You go to Chongqing and then in the morning you go on the street, you see people eating and slurping a bowl of noodle, spicy noodle, full of flavors, on the sidewalk, and they were sitting on plastic stool, and it's just so real. The scene is so real, and the food is so yummy. So yeah, I think if I have to pick anything, that's the thing that I miss the most.
Mm-hmm. I see. Is there a lot of Sichuan pepper in it?
Oh yes. The lots of them. And they use they would actually ground the Sichuan pepper. Yeah, that's what they use.
Does that actually help you combat the humidity in Sichuan area? Because I heard like people will eat spicy and numbing thing to help them sweat. So
yeah, that's the theory. That's the theory to eat more spicy food for you to sweat and balance the yin and yang. But I just think people like the sensation.
yeah, and I also remember you mentioned in one of your previous interviews. So, because in Chongqing, people eat mala food, and so you have the spicy part where you get the heat, and the numbing part, which comes from the Sichuan pepper, actually help cool things down. So it's actually a balance of the two. So I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a balance, but also I think the numbing part is a flavor enhancer. It doesn't have to be mala. It can be sweet numbing. It can be savory numbing. It gives you this. It makes you salivate. And then your saliva will do the rest of the work. That's the mechanism behind it.
So when was the last time you ate small noodles?
I would say I would say maybe a year ago. I was in China during the pandemic. I went to China for 5 months. I did all the quarantine and stuff. So yeah, I was maybe a year ago. I was home about a year ago.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's basically all my question. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to hear about all the stories you have about Sichuan pepper, and I hope everyone learns a lot about Sichuan pepper and also the art of cooking Sichuan food. Yeah, so if you're ever looking for a new recipe or want to make your mealtime exciting again, I highly recommend you try Yao's pepper oil and maybe add that to your pantry next time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kaxing. Yeah, really enjoyed this chat. And I'm glad you and your husband are now new Tingle heads.
Yeah, and best of luck with everything moving forward.
Great. Yep.
Hey, thank you for listening. If you like our episodes, subscribe to Dedicated on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. If you want to follow us on socials, you can find us at Dedicated FM on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to contact us, our email is dedicatedfm2022@gmail.com. I hope you enjoy.